Welcome back to my channel. I'm Tanya Ray, and today we are doing a pick a card reading for the month of April. I have also done a collective reading for the general predictions of April 2025, so you can check that out after this if you have not already. And before I get started, I just want to remind you that it's not about making this reading fit. It's not about owning it. These are for fun, but their power is when you pay attention to what pops up for you and reflecting back on that. So again, these readings are going to be very generalized. However, I have set the intention that whoever is meant for these messages will receive them. And without further ado, let's tune in and have you pick your message for April. All right, the first deck on the left has an angel or a quartz on it. The middle deck has a Scolecite, I believe is how it's pronounced. And the third is a Citrine. Take a moment to tune in. You might already know which deck you are being drawn to, but take that moment and don't second guess what comes to you, but do pay attention to, is it a vision, a knowing, a feeling? Did you hear something? Because all of that is really important in understanding how you connect to your intuition. All right, pause if you need any more time because we're going to get started on group one. All right, starting out strong, group number ones with the beautiful Angel Aura Quartz. And by the way, if you chose Angel Aura Quartz, that crystal is very great for spiritual connection as well as communication, especially this particular one, because as you can see, it is green and blue, light blue. So that would represent speaking from the heart chakra and the throat chakra together. So if you have been somebody who has had some trouble with that in the past, that could be why you chose this crystal and deck, or it might be more about the message within the cards themselves. If you are somebody who wants to build a stronger spiritual connection or spiritual practice, this crystal could assist with that. And who can resist it, really, because it is absolutely gorgeous. All right, so the first question I asked was, what is the main theme for group one in the month of April? And we have two beautiful cards here: abundance and openness. Now, this feels like the same theme. Your theme, so to speak, is abundance, okay? Yes, let's go with that. But the way to open that up, the way to be open to the abundance is through openness. That was too many opens, but the way to be receiving of the abundance is to be open to it. What do I mean by this? In some cases, it means believing in the impossible a little bit more. It's also about not giving up on something that you have been working towards. I'm hearing February for some reason, so maybe it's something that you've really buckled down on in February and you haven't necessarily seen the fruits of your labor yet. But now we're going into April, and look at that abundance card. It's the spring flowers, right? It's all of these flowers popping up, and whatever it is that you've been trying to grow, if you're open to continuing along, but also being open to pivot when you need to. So try not to get confused by that. I'm not saying that you have to abandon ship. What I'm saying is if there's something that you're really committed to and you're questioning, is this worth my time anymore? Give it a little bit more time, but also pay attention to where there might be other opportunities popping up or other ways that you haven't necessarily thought of to reach that goal. The other part of the openness is, like I said, being open to the unbelievable in some ways, the magic. When we talk about abundance, that can be a lot of different things, right? So perhaps it will be in your best interest to decide what type of abundance you want to call in and why. In other words, is it money that you're trying to call in this month? Abundance of loving people in your life or people that you connect with deeply? Is it abundance in other ways that aren't necessarily money, but maybe, it's just a quote unquote lucky month for you where people buy your coffee for no reason and all of these other things. What exactly do you want to call in this month? And don't get too rigid on it, right? Because we're talking about openness, but not having a clue about what you want also isn't probably going to bring that in. I'm also getting from the visuals here to pay attention to the moon, especially the full moon this month, and what could it possibly bring in for you? I'm not sure off the top of my head when the full moon is or which full moon it is. I believe we're going to be out of eclipse season, but I could be totally wrong on that. Something about this full moon, though, something about releasing expectations on how things are going to look in your life because there's a block that is causing you to actually think smaller than what is actually available to you. So with that said, let's pull a few more cards and see what's up for the month of April. Okay, we've added forgiveness and patience. And I feel for a large number of you in group 1, this is a reiteration of things that I've already said in some ways, meaning the forgiveness could be around things aren't happening fast enough and you might be blaming yourself or holding on to something from the past that is preventing you from really excelling forward and receiving the abundance that you deserve. So this month, it's a really good month to look at where you need to forgive. And this could be forgiving yourself or others or situations. And this isn't about forgiving actions that are unforgivable or anything like that, but how can you bring more peace into your life by releasing it or letting it go? Patience is important here. So I feel like I said before, a lot of this has already been a theme for you where you're like, I've been patient, I've been doing the things and nothing is coming into fruition. And 2 things about that. Number 1, make sure that if you're saying I've been doing the things and nothing's happening, is that really true? First of all, is it true that nothing is happening? And second of all, is it true that you've been doing all of the things or have you been doing a lot of thinking? Some of you have been doing the things. So I'm not pointing fingers here. That is just what I'm feeling called to say in this moment for the ahas. The other part of this is that if you have been doing the work or you're going to put the pedal to the metal in the month of April and really start doing the things, you are going to see progress. You are going to experience abundance, and it does require, like I said, being open to the possibilities. If you're shutting the door on possibilities, then likely you are going to continue to feel stuck if that's something that you're currently experiencing. Back with some more cards. These are from Angels and Auras. So we've got communication on the left, and it says accuracy, expression, intimacy, and honesty. That is the light side, if you will. The shadow side is gossip, withholding, solitude, and risk. So what did we start out this reading with? Talking about communication, specifically that beautiful crystal up there is, and I never feel like placing these cards is by accident. And we have this card over forgiveness and abundance. So there might be something in there that needs to be communicated, either something you just need to express out loud or in written form for yourself around this, because the forgiveness piece, like I said, could be a block to the abundance. Forgiveness is also, of course, connected to being open. So when you're holding on to things, it often closes you up a little bit. So communication is important this month. Maybe you're somebody who already has the ability to have very intimate and honest conversations and express yourself very clearly. Keep doing that. But if you're somebody who struggles with that, this is definitely a month to take a better look at that, a higher perspective of that, and pay attention to what's coming up, and maybe take a little bit of a chance on, can I have true and honest conversations with the people in my life? And if not, why is that? Is it because I don't trust them? Is it because I don't trust myself? Is it something else? Am I afraid that they aren't going to love me anymore, etc.? Just to hit that message home a little bit more, the other card is point of view. Gratitude, assistance, guidance, and understanding. And the shadow side of that is oblivious, separate, dispassionate, and ignorance. So there's a very big message of connection and being able to communicate clearly with people. And in doing that, you have to understand what it is you truly want as well. And being able to both offer assistance to people when you have the ability to do that, but also receiving it from people. Of course, point of view is also about being able to understand that we all have our own POVs, and that's okay. We don't have to agree on them to understand that we can exist and we can have enriching conversations and great relationships with each other by having respect. And finally, there's this really big energy of gratitude in this card, and gratitude for the lessons that you have learned from other people and being open to their perspectives even when you don't agree with them, as well as gratitude is the door that opens you to more abundance, because the more you're grateful, the more you are just blessed with the things that you truly desire in life. A very abundant month for those of you who chose this group, as well as communication and self-expression and being open to other people's expression and perspectives is important this month. Those are really big things this month. Your inner child message for this month is number 44. For those of you who like numbers, you know the way. Trust your intuition on this journey. So part of this communication stuff is being able to hear your inner knowing as well. And we talked about that a little bit with the meaning or the metaphysical properties of the crystal. So you know the way, trust your intuition on this journey. So if you've felt like you have been connecting to your intuition more, know that that's going to amp up this month. If this has been something that you've been questioning, this is your sign to really embrace your inner knowing this month. And the more that you allow yourself to get curious and trust it or work with it, the more that you're going to receive. So it's like anything else, any habit that you build, any muscle that you strengthen, the more you use it, the stronger it will be. Spirit animal this month is the beaver, and that makes sense because the beaver is all about building, and he or she is happy to do so. He's happy to work and build the dam to protect and or benefit his family and friends. And those of you in group 1 have been really working to build something. It feels like that's the truth for many of you, and this is building upon that. So the beaver energy is going to help you to build deeper connections with the people that are important to you, as well as probably yourself. The beaver is connected to the water element, so that's emotions as well. And, you know, he's sitting on top of communication and forgiveness and abundance. And all of that can be tied to big emotions, right? And this is your month to figure out how you can harness your emotions in a way that is going to help you to build a bigger and stronger dam, if you will. The beaver is really considered a good friend, dependable, and good-natured. So if this is you, if you feel like you resonate with this energy, it's talking about how people really do value your presence. They see you for who you truly are, and it's about you seeing that in yourself and recognizing that more. Remember that the beaver sees work that needs to be done and they see it through. They keep working. They don't worry about how long it's going to take. They are more worried or more inclined to focus on getting the task done. The reason I bring this up is because we talked about it at the beginning, where you might feel like your efforts have been lost, but keep the goal in sight and keep building. But remember that you might need to pivot if things just really are not aligning. And last but certainly not least, we have the affirmations for group 1s for this month of April. I allow myself to receive. I believe in myself. I align everything I need in life simply by being me. Beautiful, beautiful affirmations for group 1s. Let me know if they resonate. And like I said, I invite you to reflect back on anything that came up during this reading and what it means for you. I don't want to tell you what it means because the deeper meaning is already within you, And your inner child had reminded you of that, right? You know the way, trust your intuition on this journey. So let me know in the comments if this resonates, and if you feel called to share, please share what came up for you, any reflections, any ahas, and I'll see you next time. Until next time, have an amazing month. Welcome back, Group 2. If you chose the Scolecite, and this is your group. By the way, the crystal that you chose is great for assisting you in healing, specifically when you are feeling exhausted, stressed out, or suffering from insomnia. It helps to relax you and helps you to, I guess, reduce stress, amongst other things, but that's the main thing that I wanted to highlight. For the crystals will also coincide in some way with the reading, so we'll see if that's true for this one. It certainly was in the last group. I have already pulled the themed cards for this month for group number 2. And your main theme, according to the cards, is freedom and awakening. And I'm reading these as two parts of a whole, so to speak. I would say the theme for you this month is freedom. And what I'm seeing in these cards and the message that I'm getting for you is the reason that you are going to feel more free this month is if you choose to embrace your personal power more. And the way that happens is by connecting in with yourself. I want to point to the numerology in these cards because I find it interesting. The freedom card is number 23, so in numerology we would reduce that to 5. And 5 is often about change, it's about movement, it can be literally about travel, and it's pretty fast paced. So for those of you in group 2, you might find that April feels like it flies by, or that there's a lot of literal movement happening, things like that. What I want to say about the combination of these two cards is I'm really feeling that many of you in this group have been going through an awakening. We have many in our lives, but the one that you have either just come out of or you might still be in is helping you to connect more deeply with yourself and your truest form of self. Because you're doing that, it's going to be a lot easier to find freedom, because freedom really comes from this sense of knowing and loving yourself and being able to trust yourself and your inner guidance. So the more that you're able to connect in that way, connect to your inner power and your inner knowing, the more you are going to experience a sense of freedom. So this feels like a very big theme for you this month. I pulled a couple more cards to give us some insight on how do you get there? How do you get to that freedom spot and through the awakening to a better connection and understanding to yourself? And the cards that I pulled, as you can see, are Voyage on the left and Adventure on the right. And this is just insane because we were just talking about how travel could be a thing that you might experience, or some kind of movement, and Voyage definitely indicates that, as well as I would say Adventure does. If you're thinking, I don't have any travel planned, I don't want to travel, that's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be traveling specifically, but you might feel called to take a little road trip, even if it's just an hour away from your house or something like that. It might also indicate, I'm getting some of you might actually be on the move, like moving spaces, meaning houses, career, or some other big life change this month, or it becomes recognized this month. So it might not be something that happens this month if you haven't already decided upon it, but it might come to light this month. The main theme here, though, being that I asked the question, how do you get closer to freedom? It's about being a bit more adventurous, embracing the excitement of life, and not taking things too seriously. If the energy of exhaustion at all was resonating with you, or not being able to feel fully rested when we were talking about the Scolecite, then this is your month to rebalance that by having a little bit more fun, a little bit more, of course, adventure, finding some excitement in life again, as well as, of course, resting when you need it. That's definitely what the crystal is trying to tell you here, if that's resonating for you. And being able to embrace change, right? Because part of adventure is change, or that's pretty much what adventure is. And you could say a voyage is that sort of energy as well. I'm also getting that maybe for some of you, it literally is something to do with water, like water travel, or even just being out in a boat, connecting with water more. Something about that, the water that is shown in the Awakening card as well as in the Voyage card, is really standing out to me. And of course, water also represents our emotions. So this could be a month of connecting more deeply to your emotions. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that was the collective theme in my collective reading for April as well. Very emotional, but nothing to be concerned about. I know a lot of the time we clam up when we think about being emotional and that sort of thing, because it doesn't feel comfortable in the moment, and we're worried about it not feeling good at all and us being stuck in that maybe. But learning how to use emotion to create what we want is going to give you a sense of freedom. And remember, I say this all the time, but the actual sensation of the feeling, which is what we tend to be afraid of, only lasts about 90 seconds to process through our body. That doesn't mean it's not going to come up again, but in that moment, it only lasts about 90 seconds. And then often we feel a little bit of relief by letting it flow through us. So just to reiterate, your theme this month is freedom. And the way that you get there is sort of by embracing the journey. I know that's cliche, but that's kind of what the cards are saying. Embrace the journey. Try not to control it too much, because when we're talking about awakenings and adventure and even voyages, a lot of the time there is an unexpected component to that. And we're not going to be able to plan everything out, control everything. So the more you allow yourself to be in flow, which again is the water element, the more you're going to find that April could be very enjoyable for you. I have added your animal spirit card or spirit animal card for the month of April to the group, and it's Firefly. And I think you'll find that Firefly is a really great addition. First of all, the visuals cannot be beat, in my opinion, with what's going on here. If you can see the Awakening card and the Firefly, they're kind of mimicking each other almost, even though the Firefly doesn't have a reflective energy to the card, it has that sort of mimicky energy to the reflection in the Awakening, and I just love that visual. So the firefly is about feeling inspired, feeling excited about creating and having a lot of ideas. It's kind of like the light goes on, right? The light bulb goes on, the firefly's light goes on. That's the creativity energy that the firefly brings. So this could be about specifically around writing or brainstorming something. But remember that we've already talked about how there is an element of movement in this month, and movement to me means taking some action. So it's not solely an introspective month, but it is largely an introspective month, a thinking month. And the firefly is going to help you do that. The firefly is going to help you gain clarity by turning that light on, so to speak. So you can call on the firefly this month when you need a little bit of inspiration, whether it is to do with specifically writing or any other creative thing, any other thing that you need clarity on. I love when I have to stack cards due to lack of space or running out of space, and they match each other so well. Like, I did not plan this. But if you can see, over Voyage and Freedom, we now have the silver card. So the color silver could be beneficial to you in some way in April, or could be a color that you just really enjoy. But anyway, the theme of this card on the light side is goddess, psychic, sacred, and proud. The shadow side is ordinary, blocked, disheveled, and embarrassed. So this month is really about embracing your goddess or god energy and being proud of who you are, because you're going to be connected more deeply within your personal power and your intuition. You might notice that you have more psychic abilities than you realized, or they might feel like they're popping off, and that could also go hand in hand with the awakening card. It all works together, right? And on the shadow side, and again, I love this visual of having these cards next to the firefly, which also almost looks like a reflection. On the shadow side, it's really telling you, make sure that you are allowing your true, authentic version of yourself shine. That's the only way to freedom. That's the only way. If you are playing small and not allowing your true self to shine, or even not even allowing yourself to see and experience you, then you're not going to experience that sense of freedom, unfortunately, because it's going to block you. So you're likely to still have those worries of, what if I embarrass myself? What if I get judged? And all of these things. You are human after all. But can you step through that? Can you harness that goddess energy? That's what this is about. That's what April is about. And just to hit it home a little bit more, the other card that I pulled is Be the Real You. And Be the Real You, you can't make this up. I just read this. The main themes on the light side of it is freedom, authenticity, uniqueness, courage. And then on the flip side, on the shadow side, it's trapped, shallowness, conformity, and closeted. So again, not being who you truly are is what affects your perception of freedom. When you stand in your authenticity, you are free. When you do not let what others might think of you dictate how you are going to be, and how much you are going to let yourself shine, then you are free. But getting caught up in things that really don't matter, or being too worried about what others are going to think, is going to put the bars back in front of you. It's created in your mind. Last but certainly not least, we have the 3 affirmations that you can take with you in April. We have, I find strength in the silence. It might be a bit more introspective, going inward a little bit more, so that you understand yourself at a greater level. How I feel is okay. I don't need to explain it. I'm allowed to say no. Part of being in your personal power is also being able to say no when you need to setting whatever boundaries it is that you need. And one of those is not having to explain yourself for every little thing. How you feel is how you feel, and that's okay. Is everyone going to be okay with it? Not necessarily, but that's not your problem. You need to focus on you. They need to focus on them, because, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but the more that you focus on everyone else's needs and what is everyone else going to think and all of those things, the further away you get from experiencing that personal power and that personal freedom that is obtainable for you in the month of April. Wow, sounds like a really magical month for group 2. Let me know what resonates, and if you feel comfortable, share what your ahas, takeaways, anything that came up for you in this reading. And I hope you have the most amazing month. See you soon. Welcome back, my beautiful citrine lovers, or at least those of you who chose citrine or group 3 for this particular reading. By the way, citrine is a great crystal to use if you are trying to call in more abundance, specifically monetary abundance, as well as connecting to your confidence, your personal power, which has been a theme at least in the last reading, but it might have been in group 1 as well. Could just very well be a big energy in the month of April. But let's find out. And as I said with the other 2 groups, often we'll find that the crystal sort of ties in with the message from the cards, but the theme, the first question that I asked is, what is the theme for the month of April for group 3? And we have the Wild Rose Fairy, which is the theme of love, and the Pegasus, which is transcending. And I think this is beautiful, because the message that is coming out loud and clear to me is that love transcends all. So the more that you embrace love, the more everything works out, the brighter life is and feels, the more connected you feel, etc. So this month, that's the theme, is really connecting to the vibration of love. This could literally mean calling in love for some of you, romantic love, but it's also about loving yourself, loving your neighbor, loving life, and loving that we're all so deeply connected. I always like to ask, okay, but how do we make this happen? Because if it was so easy for all of us to just really embrace love and live the most amazing, magical life ever, then we'd all be doing it, right? If we just knew how. And the cards that came out are very interesting. We have the spirit guardian of autumn, and she's saying letting go. And then over on the right, thicket of thorns, uncertainty. So let's read those together. Letting go, uncertainty. Letting go of uncertainty. Okay, duh. What does that mean, really? But this is more so talking about letting go of those past hurts, processing them, of course, and thanking yourself and the lessons that you received, but paying attention to where you're still holding on to the not good enough, I can't be loved, I can't give love sort of energy, and paying attention to what that's bringing up in your life and in your relationships. I know it's easier said than done, but the more that you really go for it this month, the more likely you are going to experience some amazing breakthroughs. The more you're going to experience a more abundant and fulfilling life. I'm getting the sense that embracing this energy is really going to help you to see all of the miracles that you create on a daily basis and how you can continue to create more of those. I asked your inner child, how can you really experience this energy this month? Because we're still a little bit vague here, right? And it's no wonder that you picked the Sacred Forest as your deck. That's what this deck is called, the main deck that I was just reading, because this card from your inner child says, spend time in nature. Let the beauty of nature refresh your soul. And it's number 34, which I would reduce to 7 in numerology, which is about introspection and connecting to your intuition, your inner knowing, and like I mentioned before, your inner power. So this month, the more that you allow yourself some introspection and spending time in your own energy and with nature, the more likely it's going to be easier to embrace that energy of love, as well as letting go of past hurt and baggage and things that are creating a sense of ungroundedness and uncertainty. Now I pulled you some angels and auras cards, and I love these because some of them have color themes on them, and you actually got 2 color themes in this reading. This group has silver and light green, so those colors in some way might be significant to you, or they might be significant to you specifically for the month of April. And the theme of the one on the left is goddess, psychic, sacred, and proud. The shadow side of that, however, is ordinary, blocked, disheveled, and embarrassed. So it's so funny because I just pulled this for the last group as well, and it makes a lot of sense based on what we were just talking about. The more that you embrace your inner goddess or god, what have you, and you tune within, the more likely you are going to be able to stand in confidence. And a large part of the reason why we have a hard time really connecting in with the energy of love and embodying that energy is because of how we feel about ourselves. So often when we don't feel confident or lovable, then, or we're worried about how people are going to perceive us, it blocks us from fully feeling and embodying that energy, that emotion. And then we have the light green card, which is happiness, vibrancy, energy, and hope. And that card with Shamil, I hope I said that right, Shamuel. Don't send me hate for that, please. With the little kids, the ballerina, and the little superhero. So cute. Anyway, happiness, vibrancy, energy, and hope. So this energy of embracing your inner child, really, and having more fun and enjoyment in life. Don't take everything too seriously, okay? And there's also this element that I'm seeing in this card. It's light green. There's the grass and the field behind them. It's that nature energy again. And it's sitting right next to your inner child message. So connecting more with your inner child in nature could be helpful as well. And the shadow side of this card is anxiety, burdened, restless, and despair. So that really coincides with the uncertainty card in my mind of when you let go of the things that are holding you back from really experiencing the vibrancy of life, then you are able to step through that. Your spirit animal for this group, or animal spirit, is the fox. The fox represents Earth. So again, we're talking about connection to Earth, grounding, staying grounded in this month, especially when we're talking about some more of that psychic connection and the intuitive connection, the inner knowing stuff. A lot of the times we think, oh, well, I don't need to be connected to the earth and my body. I just want to float up in the ethers, and that doesn't really work out so well. We really need to be grounded in order to build that connection. We need to be connected to our bodies specifically. And so anyway, the fox is a representation of a wise teacher or a mentor of some sort, as well as the fox is a very loyal partner. So those of you who are calling in relationships, romantic relationships, or other partnerships for that matter, April could be a good month for that. Again, leading with love, right? Love for self and then for others, as well as committing to that yourself. So committing to really being focused on the relationship at hand when it's appropriate, of course. If you're just starting out, I'm not saying go 0 to 100. I'm just saying that be clear on what it is that you want and communicate that clearly, because another big theme of the fox is that communication and connection piece. So building true and authentic connections. And of course, we do that through love, right? So, I don't want to get too repetitive, so we'll just leave it at, if you're resonating with the fox energy, there's a reason for it, because the fox really embodies a lot of the energy that we have been talking about in this reading. Another thing that I want to point out is you might be called as the fox to share your knowledge this month, to be a mentor or a teacher of some sort, or you might be seeking that out. So the partnership and connection could be around that as well. This is a great month to do that. Back with, last but not least, your affirmations for the month of April 2025. And interestingly, because we didn't really talk about money, in this reading, but the first one is I honor the divine energy that is money. So for some of you, that might be something that you have really been desiring, is to build that connection, that relationship with money. And so if that's resonating with you, it's time to start honoring that energy. Okay? I am magnetic when I stand in my power. I am magnetic when I stand in my power. Remember, we've got the fox here and we've got the goddess energy. So I am magnetic when I stand in my power. And then I trust the universe is always 10 steps ahead of me. Yes. And of course, you can change universe to whatever resonates for you. God, creator, your higher self. It doesn't really matter. And obviously, if you don't resonate with any of these, you never have to claim them. With that said, this is your reading for April 2025. I hope you have the most amazing month. And if you feel called, please share any takeaways that you have from this reading, any ahas, etc. And I will see you soon.